I'm not around, have you found I'm always on your mind? And when you hear my name, does it sound the same as you felt when you heard it last time? Do you see flowers in my hair that aren't really there? Do you feel the pain when I'm blue? And when you see me, does it seem to be that blues change to life in bloom? 'Cause this is how I see you, and these are the things you do. You may not know, so I'm telling you so, the best way I know how to. Welcome, everyone, to the Boiling Point Podcast, back with another special report.
I can't say it.
And I brought along with me Sandra Gonzalez, candidate for the West Shore School District, and Brandi, who's a parent of children in the West Shore School District. Sandra Gonzalez also has grandchildren in the West Shore School District. We're going to get to your race and your candidacy a little bit later, Sandra, but I want to start with you being just a parent or grandparent within the school district. You guys obviously saw Mariana's report on Wednesday, blowing the lid off of that we have evidence of bribery, of attempted bribery within the West Shore School District. One school board member attempting to bribe another with the presidency of the school board itself. Like, let's be clear, that's what they were bargaining with, which I couldn't believe, which is astonishing to me to begin with. You think bribery and you think maybe exchange of cash or backroom deals or something, but to actually be offering the presidency, I think puts it in even a different category altogether. What are your two's thoughts on that information being released and now knowing that you have school board members trying to manipulate and bribe other school board members? Brandi?
I was actually astonished because throughout the whole process, it was always, well, we knew nothing about this. They always made it seem like they knew nothing about anything that was going on. And, when in the screenshots, he was talking about we. So unless he has a mouse in his pocket, who else is the we?
That's a very good point there. Sandra?
It's what they accused Trump of, but he wasn't guilty of it. Quid pro quo. I'll give you this if you give me that. And nothing new under the sun here. However, when it gets exposed like this and you look at the ethics alone are astonishing. At this level that people are playing this kind of treacherous games. And David Britton, to his credit, did not bite at the bit. And Adam Trone really should be censured for this. And I don't know what is in the policies and procedures of the West Shore School District, the code of conduct for the school directors. But if nothing else, he should be admonished for this. And certainly if the voter is well informed by the time he runs for re-election, that he would be voted out.
Absolutely.
Can't he be made to leave now because of?
I don't know.
I think so. And I don't know for sure. Now, I'm not speaking with facts here. I don't know this for sure, but I would imagine when it comes to a publicly elected place that there are safeguards in place if he becomes guilty of something or something like that, there would be something in place to remove him from his position. I would imagine there would have to be.
I just haven't read that part of the rules and regulations. I know that they can remove a member by voting amongst themselves for code of conduct, like not showing up to meetings. If you keep not showing up, the other board members can vote you off for reason. I don't know if that falls in that category. That would be interesting to find out. One would think it would be. You would think it would be. But you look at what politicians in Washington have gotten away with. And Bob Menendez finally went to jail for something, and his wife. And but other than that, you almost never see them held accountable for things that the general public are held accountable for every day.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that. That's why we're staying on this. That's why our content has been focused on this since it happened, and it will still be. We're going to talk a little bit about the meeting we have coming up on Thursday here in just a few minutes. This is the evidence that we received from the ferry, from the cell phone ferry, and nobody knows who that is, who the ferry is. Mariana and I are the only ones that know who it is, and that's the way it's going to remain. So if the ferry is watching, your anonymity is completely safe. We're not going to reveal anything until it's time or until you want us to. So this is the message. And I'm not going to read over the whole thing again. For anybody who's listening, you can go back and watch the other episodes. I do read the whole thing, but there's one or two things that I want to talk about with you two. And one of them is, let me look, I'm just looking for it. The first part, your dad would not be proud right now.
Yeah.
That goes a little bit beyond. That's a low blow, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because that
Yeah.
obviously implies that if this person's dad is not alive, clearly that's what the implication, the way he says it in the past tense, would not be proud. So that's alone is, I think that's horrendous, in my opinion, that got sent. So, character alone right there, gone. Do you guys have any thoughts about that particular statement, or should I just go to the next one?
When you look at that, you look at the tactic that was used in the manipulation.
Yep.
That was for cause and effect. He was hoping to provoke the response that he wanted. And the Bible calls that witchcraft. That type of manipulation. And you look at predators, when you look at any level of predator where they have a victim,
Yep.
who is they're attempting to make a subordinate. They use those kind of tactics all the time. And my husband and I have been in prison ministry for years, and we see this at this level, and we interact with the victims, and and this is that type of predatory, hoping that Director Britton would be vulnerable enough that thought being planted would cause him to
Have a strong reaction.
yeah, and not think clearly, because when you think about the times where you make decisions based on your emotion, and how many times we said to ourselves, I would have been better had I waited and made that decision. Like when they tell you, when you've had a death in the family, don't make any major decisions within so many days or whatever. He was looking to have David respond emotionally with his decision. And that is a real dirty trick, but that's a predator trick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't believe the way, and it clearly came because this person did not respond. So you're looking at what it looks like probably at least the second message. There was probably some time. So he used it, not at first, but as a tactic then to get a response.
Mm-hmm.
And now the other part that I want to talk to you about here, I can't now. There's a thing there that we did get some of the messages missing. But right underneath that, Adam Trone says, I don't want to put the rest in writing. Okay. So if you didn't find any red flags up until that point, then you're not looking.
Right.
But certainly that's just another one right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then he actually gets to it. But let's say if we can agree to tabling, it ends with you as president. That is exactly a quid pro quo. That is bribery. That is saying, if you do what I want, then this is what you get. That's the definition of bribery. Okay. So clearly he did it, right?
From what I understand about the Sunshine Act, they aren't even to deliberate and interact with each other about the vote itself. They can talk to another board member about an issue in and of itself. But from what I understand, and I've never taken the class, so I'm not 100% on this, but from what I understand, they're not supposed to, like in DC, they have a whip, what's called a whip.
Yeah.
And they go through and they get a general consensus of what the vote is going to be. And then you try to negotiate before you get to the floor with that vote. That whip negotiates and tries to get the cluster of votes that they need to pass legislation.
Yeah.
At this level, you're not allowed to do that. It's illegal. Hence the Sunshine Act.
Yeah.
So from what I understand, that's illegal according to the Sunshine Act in and of itself, which is the very thing that they're accusing the conservative members of violating. It's the same thing with Trump. They accuse Trump of the very thing they're doing. Only Trump isn't guilty of it, of what they're accusing him of, but they sure are.
Yeah, that's exactly. They have a lawsuit that was brought against the school for violation of the Sunshine Act. And then, so not even just the bribery, okay, but you're talking about potential violations of the Sunshine Act, okay? Yeah. So here he's guilty of attempted bribery because he did attempt the bribery. The reason he's not guilty of actual bribery is because the person didn't accept the bribe. Credit to them.
Right.
Now, let's see, where are we at? Okay, yeah, so if that wasn't enough, if actually having the evidence of the bribery wasn't enough, Adam Trone, please make this your last public office. You're clearly not suited to be in public office, and if you do want to continue to run for public office, please give me a call because I can help you. You're getting bad advice right now. I don't know who's giving you the advice, but you're getting bad advice right now, okay? Because then he posted this on his social media. Now, this I am going to read for everybody because this is just, you can't ask for any more. I'm handing it to everybody. It's been handed to you on a silver platter. Okay. So if something doesn't get done, then it's because the parents didn't push hard enough or nobody did anything to try and push it past just the initial shock and, anger of it, because right here it is in black and white. Okay. And I'm going to read the entire statement. This is simple humility. Last year, at the height of the solicitor debate, I sent a poorly thought and inappropriate text message to another board member. Right there we are. 3 lines in, he's admitted to it. Suggesting that if they tabled their vote, there might be a chance he could become president. So in the very first sentence, he admits to sending the text message and admits to the attempted bribery. That's what else do you need? There is nothing else. I can't believe that he actually posted this and actually admitted to it. When I found this out, I was shocked. My jaw hit the floor. I could not believe it. And then, of course, later on, I actually not going to read the whole statement. I forgot it was right at the beginning that he admits to it, because the rest is just slander in a roundabout way on me and some of my team members. Because we're church podcasters, but we're not church podcasters. Yes, we go to church and we believe in the Lord, and we do have Christianity content about Christianity. We have a whole series about the Old Testament. We'll be having a whole series about the New Testament, because I think that Christianity, truth, and conservatism kind of go together. You can't really be one of those without having the other two, at least a little bit, in my opinion. So, yes, we do.
He's reaching with that.
Yeah. So we are Christian podcasters, but that's not what the Boiling Point podcast is about. We are about the truth and getting the truth out there and exposing the truth.
Well, my husband's a New York Giants fan, so that's like him saying the wife of a New York Giants fan said about, you know what I mean? So we all go to church.
Yeah.
Maybe he should.
Yeah, maybe he should too. And if anything, I mean, telling them that people that were Christian podcasters, in my opinion, just gives us more credibility and more, attract more eyes to us, because that's who we're looking at anyway. People who don't want the truth and who don't go to church and who don't believe in the values that we talk about and we believe in, then likely aren't going to tune into our channel. Now, I do know we got some of our favorite fans. They do tune in regular. And I want to thank them for tuning in regular, of course. And thank you, even though you haven't said our name yet in all those meetings. I can assure you, every time you say, I saw on a podcast, we know which podcast you saw it on, because we're the ones that conduct the podcast. So thank you for tuning in, even you people that don't like us. I very much appreciate it. Views are views. I don't really care who they are. You don't have to like me at all. So clearly the bribery is proven. He's admitted to it. So if the evidence wasn't enough, then we also have the evidence that he admitted to it, bribing another school board member with the presidency. So
keep in mind, JD, at the end of that statement, he makes an excuse for it. That in his ambition, I should not have compromised doing what is right with my passion to protect the Western School. So he's listen, sociopaths do that. People who are not repentant, who are evil. It's like if I tell you off in anger and then I say to you, well, I said I'm sorry. What more do you want? You know,
yeah, exactly.
Genuine repentance. There's no genuine repentance there. He's making an excuse and trying to justify. And listen, with these folks, the end justifies the means.
Yeah. Yes, and he does say that he claims then he was, even though there's we throughout the entire text message, he's saying he wasn't speaking for other board members now all of a sudden, and he didn't have the authority to suggest it. Well, no kidding, you didn't have the authority to suggest it. That's what, duh.
I had responded to that, and I asked him, I would like to know who the we is in the messages, and he responded back with, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, here. Well, if he doesn't know what we're talking about, we can certainly help with that. Watch this.
Right.
Yeah.
We may be two different parties, but I think we are, and that's where it cuts off.
Yeah. Well, and he definitely.
Let me see here. I'm looking for more. Oh, yeah, but let's say if we can agree to tabling, it ends with you as president, should you want it. And then, of course, at the end of his text message, he also again makes remarks to a couple of despicable things that were said during by three ladies. Like, we don't know, like we're not smart enough to figure them out either. Of course, they're not, what he portrays them. Or unless he's talking about other ladies of his own party that he was willing to give information on. And there you go, a turncoat on both sides.
Right.
So, yeah, he says we. So he's clearly speaking for someone else at that moment.
So I pulled up my message and it says, I said, oh, so you did know before the meeting. I wonder who the we are in the messages. And he responded, I'm not sure that I follow. Miss Thomas called some of the board members on the Friday before the meeting, for which no one disputes. She told me that we are appointing Mr. Hall next week. So he completely deflected everything that he did in the messages.
Yep. That's the way to do it. Not to even address it. So, and also he's here talking, talk trash about, he implies Moms for Liberty is this, is not what they're actually about either. I mean, it's very, very passive aggressive and indirect roundabout insults and claims and all you need to do is have a brain and be smart enough to see and read to know that this is all just crap. It's all crap. I'm sorry. Yeah, Adam Trone, your statement here is crap. You're getting bad advice. Okay, reach out to me. I'd love to have you on an episode, but be prepared to stand under the cross. But that would be, what do you want to say? That would probably be a heck of a way for you to end your public career, your public office careers, coming on the Boiling Point podcast. I'd love that. So please reach out to me and come on an episode. But yeah, I mean,
here's the thing, JP. The left will applaud him for this. And that will be a badge of honor for him on the left side.
Oh, yeah. They buy into the full hero moments. Absolutely. Yeah. That's what they'll all claim it was, the hero moment. Yeah.
Just trying to do the right thing.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We all can agree that sometimes doing the right thing isn't always doing the right thing. But in that instance, that's not doing the right thing.
No.
Okay. That's trying to bribe and manipulate your own agenda. That's exactly what that is. And we're not buying it, nor are we going to fall for it. And you can keep releasing these statements. Keep admitting to it. It's just, it's going to come back and haunt you. I hope it still does, because you can't, the way he that statement is so arrogant too. Sandra and Brandi. It reeks of arrogant, like nothing is going to happen. Oh, it's my bad. Right. I'm sorry. I admit to it. So, it's all under the rug now. Let's let water under the bridge. No.
Had he sought legal counsel, they probably would have told him to make no statement.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Adam Trone, reach out to me. I can be your legal counsel. Okay. I will charge you a very modest $500 an hour to be your legal counsel. Now, and we won't make any more statements like that. But please keep doing that until you hire me as your legal counsel. Please keep making those statements. We love them. But what do you guys think? Is something, I mean, are you guys both going to the meeting? Brandi, are you going to be at the meeting this Thursday?
No.
Okay. So Brandi won't be making the meeting this Thursday, and
I'll be watching it.
Okay. Oh, well, you know what? If you want to come on and watch, I mean, we don't talk anymore. We don't do the color commentary with the watch along anymore, but right afterwards, we're still going to do the after show and talk about it. So yeah, you're more than welcome to come on. Sandra, you're going to be there, right?
Yeah.
And I know Mariana, and I know Christy, and I know a lot of people are going to be there. So it might only be me and Brandi for the after show, depending on how late they go. Because if it goes 11:30, then likely the people at the meeting won't be jumping on to join me for an after show. They're likely going to get home and be heading to bed. Right. But we will do a little after show as long as it doesn't go too late. So what are we going to expect at this meeting, ladies? What are we hoping for? But what do we think? And what do we think is going to actually happen? Because let's not forget, with all of this going on, we still have a vote on boys and girls sports happening.
Well, if the administration doesn't pull a stunt, let's hope it's on the agenda as it should be, and that you know, I have to say this. I have to back up and say this. When they were talking about this 2 months ago, and I believe it was either Heidi Thomas or Kelly Brandt looked at Kevin Hall and said, "Did you read the policy?" And he said, "No." I was shocked because it was on the agenda to be talked about and to be voted on, and he hadn't read it. And I felt like that was deliberate on his part. The delay tactic.
That's the solicitor you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Just want to make sure people are clear who we're talking.
So they had to table it so that our solicitor could read it so that they could bring it up in the next meeting.
Which they did last month, which is when I thought the vote was going to happen.
Because enough of the language was changed. You've got the Sunshine Act, where it has to be out in the sunshine for 30 days and be reviewed by the public, which we understand that.
Yeah, but taking the time. Go ahead.
It's not going to be effectuated until the fall. Okay, we understand that. But just the delay tactics alone, which also means you're not getting to other important policy, like, I don't know, gender neutral bathrooms at our high schools. And it seems like they're trying to suck all the oxygen out of the room with this and delay.
Brandi, you're muted. It's okay.
They always claim that like it's being rushed through. I'm like, this has been going on since January. This is not being rushed.
Mm-hmm.
It's taken long enough.
Mm-hmm.
And the conservative school board members really need to get involved here and start banding together and start moving the agenda based on, and that's the other thing. It seems like some of these school board members maybe are afraid that maybe they're going to get sued, which I completely understand the fear of getting sued in the school district you're in. But when it comes to the law and the way and procedure and the way things are supposed to be, if things are being done correctly, then stand behind it and back it up. Don't just keep allowing these delays. If things were done correctly, then follow through with it. Don't delay because people have a problem or your solicitor didn't read it. Okay, because the solicitor. Let's not get into that. I don't know if we should get into the solicitor in this particular episode. That might be need to be an episode in itself. Because you guys just got a new solicitor, and it was that, and you guys you guys had a bad solicitor.
Yeah. And
in the haste of trying to get a new one, mistakes were made, and now you have another bad one. And based on the mistakes that have been made over the last two solicitors, my hope and my prayers are that the next solicitor for the West Shore School District is exactly what you guys need.
Yeah.
Because you guys have made the mistakes of the last two, and if you've learned from them, then I think the next one's going to be the right one.
Yeah.
So that's my hope and prayers for that in regards to the solicitor, that whatever the next one is, whenever it comes time next to do whatever the procedure is to get a new one, that you guys get the right one on the next try. because
You,
you guys
you know,
have had two in a row that are serving their own agendas,
Mhm.
not the school board's agenda. That's the most horrific thing about it.
Right.
They're not even serving the liberal school board's agenda. It just so happens that the liberal school board member's agenda happens to align with his firm's agenda. That's the only reason that it looks like that. He's serving his own agenda, not anybody else's, not anybody on that school board's, conservative or liberal. He's serving his own.
they need to learn, the school board members in general, particularly the conservative, is to get stuff done anyways. Because if you look at the tactics of the left, and they're doing this to Trump with all the lawsuits with Trump, he has, just an unbelievable amount of lawsuits right now, and everything's stocked up in court. So with the change of solicitors, they sucked all the oxygen out of the room. They're suing us. With the bathroom policy, suck all the oxygen out of the room, And then if you think about a third tactic that they use, and I think this is more the administration, they drag out that first hour, hour and a half of the meeting with students speaking, and they all, want to interact with the students, which is wonderful. These students have achieved beautiful things and they deserve recognition.
It is.
I
Yeah.
personally think all of that should be moved to its own meeting, because let me tell you what happens. And you can see it clearly when you're in the room and you can feel it. By hour 2, you start to look at them and they're up there falling asleep. They're yawning. They're switching their chair position to try to wake themselves up. They just want out of there. And the administration knows it. And they're playing these people out. And by the time the important thing, the last hour of the meeting, these board members are shot. Most of them work all day, rush into these meetings. You're there. This is a deliberate tactic. And whether it's delay through sucking the oxygen out of the room with lawsuits and lawfare and we got to rewrite this. And you can certainly see administration try to slow walk policy change. And then you look at how they drag the meeting out. That has got to change. If these guys are going to get anything done, it's going to have to be that you're kicking doors open. You're just going to have to do it.
Yeah, I think that stuff should be moved to its own meeting, because it does. And you're right. There are certain members of the school board that like to delay and ask follow-up questions. And I mean, sometimes like you said, it's even an hour and a half or something till they get all these student shout outs. And we like the student shout outs are great. Mm-hmm. But when decisions need to be made, especially hard ones and important ones, that has to take some kind of priority. That has to.
They have to figure out that tactic, because I can't get people to come to the meetings for this. The people I've invited, they have said to me when hey, there's an appointment. I just can't do 3-hour meetings at the end of the day like that.
Yeah.
That's the response that I get from many of the people that I have invited to these meetings, that at that point in the day, they cannot sit for 3 hours unproductive. That's the other thing. That is such a slow moving turtle. And when you're in the room, it is a yawn fest.
That's why our watch-alongs always ended up with us giving commentary, so that we weren't just sitting here on screen yawning, because it is very slow moving, and a lot of it, some of it is definitely tactics by certain people, because it's the same. You see it every single week.
What they should do with those shout outs, is put them on paper, like at church when you walk in and you get announcements, and hand them out with the agenda. Here's all our shout outs. It doesn't have to be on camera. They don't have to suck all the oxygen out of the room and delay the clock, and make them write them down if they're so important and they just can't wait to shout them out. They should have to turn it in with the agenda to the board secretary, the 24 hours before, so he can get it typed up.
Yeah, I agree.
And come up with some tactics like that. All that other stuff, I would move to another meeting.
Yeah, I would too. Or at the very least, why does it have to happen? You guys have 2 meetings a month. Why does it have to happen on both meetings?
Yeah.
Why can't it? You guys have policy meetings too. So you have policy meetings, school board meetings. You have 2 of each of them. That's 4 meetings a month. Why do they have to be on both school board meetings? You couldn't move one to a policy meeting. You couldn't only do 1 shout outs a month instead of 2. So I think that there's definitely compromise there. There's compromise there. There's a way to figure it out if people want to figure it out. But as you say,
help you if you decide to show up for policy meeting, committee You know, the ones that come before the regular scheduled board meeting, I get there at 4:30. I get there like 4:15. And I'm there till what, 9:30 at night after I've worked during the day. That is a killer.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is. It is. That's why. And that's why it's so hard to get our side involved, because we're all conservatives are, they got kids, they have jobs, they have to go out. They're not on assistance. They have to work for a living. That's how they take care of their families. So, and to dedicate 5 hours twice a month on a weeknight is just asking too much. And you can't come late. You know what I mean? So you have to go at the beginning. There's got to be some wiggle room here. Parents do need to get involved. And I do understand the time that it takes to get involved, but get involved as little as you can or as much as you can to try and affect change. And, with change, you can make it easier to then attend the stuff you need to attend to. Mm-hmm. But it's only going to change if you actually get involved. So that is part of it. And I do understand. I mean, especially last month, by the time we were done, Mariana couldn't believe I was still on the air. She wasn't able to attend the last month's second meeting. They had a church event, and she couldn't believe that I was still on at 10 o'clock. When she entered the studio, she sent me a message. She said, "Oh my goodness, you're still on." And then she came into the studio and we still did the after show. So, and all I did was watch along and listen to the meeting last month. Okay. That's all I did. And then we did the after show and talked afterwards. I was spent just listening to it and following along and doing like the work to keep the stream running. I was spent after that. I can't imagine having to go out, be at the meeting and all that. Like I had considered coming to this meeting. I wanted to be there and have the Boiling Point podcast cover it in person. I think that would have been awesome, especially with everything going on, to actually be there in person. But I talked it over with Mariana, and we both know that this meeting this Thursday is going to potentially go to 11:30 even at night, or even later. That's ridiculous. But there's a lot of stuff that's on the agenda, and they're going to
wonder how many people are going to come out after the Democrats called for like every Democrat across the state to come out.
They did. Yes, they did call for every Democrat. They made a call. That's the other reason I wanted to be there, because I wanted to not have my camera on the front, not on the school board members. I wanted to be there with my second camera to be on the people. That's why I wanted to be there, because I wanted to showcase the crazies and so that people can actually see them, because we don't get to see them. None of their cameras point to the people. It's always it's only the person talking and then anybody in the front row. So we get Sandra a lot because she's a front row sitter, but all the people who like to talk and yell and stuff, they all sit in the back, so you can't see them. Yeah. And Christy, you're absolutely right. That's exactly why they do the things they do, because they know people don't have 5 and 6 hours a week on a weeknight to dedicate to that. So anybody who can't make it to the meeting this Thursday, you can tune in to us. We will be doing the live watch along. We will not be speaking. It'll just be the stream, so you can hear what they're saying. And then immediately after, you won't have to go to a different recording. On the same recording, you just stay on watching the same thing. And then we're going to have the after show, maybe with Brandi, Mariana, maybe also potentially with a couple of people, depending on how late the meeting goes. If it goes to 11:30, then likely it'll just be me and Brandi closing it out very quickly after it's done. But if it's not that late, then, we might get Sandra, we might get Mariana, we might get Christy, we might get a couple of these parents to come on to discuss it. And if you haven't been on an episode, if you're a parent and haven't been on an episode, hit me up if you'd like to come on an episode. I'd be happy to have you on. Leave comments, communicate with us. The Boiling Point podcast is here to help. Let's see what we got here. Christy's leaving a comment. Listen, it isn't heavy if we are all lifting and helping each other out. That's from Christy. And Christy, you're absolutely right. That Mariana, I want to say for a moment before we get ready to close out. Now, Sandra was going to join the team, the Boiling Point podcast team, before she decided to run for office. She's obviously running for office, and that's where her focus needs to be. But Mariana joining the team and Christy joining the team, you too, Christy, has been really huge for me and the Boiling Point podcast. Okay. It has really allowed me to focus and to advance the cause in other ways and not just only have to worry about content, especially Mariana. Mariana's really up to date on stuff. She shoots the small episodes. She shoots episodes when she needs to, and she's on top of it. It keeps me busy because she's not a video producer yet, so I still have to post the video. Anything that's not live, I still have to download and post, but it still saves me the prep time, the shooting time. It saves me a lot of time not having to cover every single development in the West Shore School District. So Mariana and Christy have been extremely helpful with me helping to advance the Boiling Point podcast and help us reach more people and move, continue to grow. Mariana is crazy. That's the word I use. She's crazy. She's crazy like me. Like I'm crazy. I mean, I just posted something yesterday. We got another episode today. We're doing the watch along Thursday. I'm just as crazy as Mariana. The problem is when you have two crazies like that, then I'm posting twice the content that I'm already posting myself, and I'm already crazy. So I'm already producing a lot of content. So it does make it hard when you have a second crazy with you on the team, but it is nice because then people know what's going on. The content's getting looked at. We're staying informed. So I very much appreciate both of them and their help on what's going on, especially their show. Simply Speaking, it's a great show, and Mariana's Watchdog Report is also very good as well. Christy, you are definitely more normal than me and Mariana. Brandi and Sandra seem to be. Well, Sandra's a little crazy, definitely.
Yeah.
You have to be crazy to run for public office. So it
is crazy.
But you and Brandi seem to be at least the more normal ones that we've come across so far.
I try.
Yeah. Depends
on the day.
And yes, Brandi, I got your message. Sandra, make sure you hang out after the credits roll once we close out.
Sure.
Yes, the Watchdog. I love that little symbol. And Mariana branded that herself. Me and my graphic artist, Robbie H. Shout out Robbie H. He did the logo for it. Unfortunately, I'm gonna use a visual. Forget what the text says. It's about eggs and stuff. It doesn't matter. That's not the important part. The logo is what I'm gonna showcase here. Because our graphic artist Robbie H made that after Mariana named her show the Watchdog Report. He came up with the logo. So shout out to Robbie H on the logo work. They also made the eagle, the Boiling Point podcast eagle for us, and he made the American cross. So shout out to our graphic artist Robbie H, who makes a majority of our graphics and stuff. He's really awesome. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we get ready to close out?
No, I don't think so.
I think the one thing that we can all do, and obviously pray, and is to continue to try to get the word out there. I am surprised when I go and I knock doors at how many people have no clue. I'll say, I'm trying to get rid of the gender neutral bathrooms at the high school, and they go, we have gender neutral bathrooms at the
absolutely. I try and tell everybody, please share the episodes out. Talk to other parents. You've got to get the word out. That's the only way it's going to work. We post on all the pages. We have people that share things. So if you see it, share it out. Like that's the only way people are going to see it is if we can get it in front of them. Yeah. Especially with as busy as our site is, as we've talked about before, Sandra.
Yeah,
it's you're so busy. Yeah. I mean, we've been going 40 minutes. How many people are going to be able to watch all 40 minutes of this episode? You know what I mean? Right. So that's why we also do try and keep our episodes under an hour, so that way people don't need to take that much time to get caught up. And we try and keep it about the facts and the information. Of course, I ramble on sometimes, but I have to give my shout outs and give the love to my crew. So, and of course, then just like what I'm going to do now before we close out is I have to give the shout outs for the storefront. Check out the storefront, bonfire.com/store/the Boiling Point podcast. Pick yourself up some apparel, please support it. It would really, really be awesome for me personally if if as many parents as we could all showed up to a school board meeting wearing Boiling Point podcast apparel. Okay. That's just a personal thing for me. All right. I would love that because there's people that mention us, but don't mention us when they come up and comment and stuff. It would be great to just for as many parents to have Boiling Point podcast apparel on in one school board meeting and just do like a flame out, I guess is what I would call it. Cause we use the red, yellow, and orange color scheme. So And I would love that. So just get yourself a t-shirt, get yourself a coffee mug. It doesn't have to have a t-shirt. Just casually sip your mug and just make sure that the logo is facing the school board.
Yeah.
We have lots of apparel. Go pick some up. We're going to be adding some new stuff here soon. We've got pants. We've got yard signs now as well. So we've got a lot of different stuff on our storefronts. Go check that out. And of course, Mariana has made a storefront also. For all the profits from her storefront are going to go to benefit candidates that we endorse in the West Shore School District. So if you want, you can go pick up some of that apparel too. All of those profits will go to someone like Sandra, or maybe I'm not sure if her and Heidi have talked about it, or maybe Kelly, but the parents who at least work with us, or at least are, friendly with us, if nothing else, the people we want to win, people we endorse. So go buy some of that apparel. Of course, our storefront apparel, everything that we make on our storefront goes right back into the business. Okay.
Yeah.
No profit taking by me on the Boiling Point podcast, anything. All of the money we make from the storefront, from donations, from any money we make from sponsorships, all of it is going right back into the podcast to help cover our costs, so that we're not paying so much out of pocket, because I pay a good bit out of pocket every year. So any money that gets donated or any money from the storefront, that's what it goes for. It goes for our software and what we need from the storefront. Oh, did you want to address that, Brandi? Did we talk about that?
We didn't, but we can.
I totally forgot. Yeah, I wanted to talk about that too, but we didn't really. I completely forgot about that. So Terry Mickles going around the neighborhoods telling people that she is against the LGBTQ alphabet soup community. So alphabet soup community, if you're watching, she's out there telling people that she is against you. I don't care if it's a tactic or not. She's still out there saying it. And we know
I did reach out to her today to get her stance on the policy, if you would like me to read it.
Did she respond?
Yes, she did.
I would love for you to I would love for that. Yes.
It says, "Hi, Brandi. You must be Carolyn's mom. I had the opportunity to interview her for Junior Achievement, and she spoke very well about her involvement with horse riding. I'm sure you are very proud of Carolyn, and I'm glad I had the brief chance to meet her. Thanks for reaching out regarding the policy and discussion regarding athletics participation. I believe that all students deserve to feel safe, supported, and included in school, including extracurricular activities like athletics. At the same time, I understand that issues like this raise complex questions about fairness, competition, and well-being. When it comes to policies regarding student participation in sports, I believe that decisions need to be grounded in facts, existing law, and best interest of the students. As a professional who has spent years in high school education policy, I know how important it is for policies to be clearly written, legally sound, and carefully implemented. Our district has a responsibility to thoughtfully navigate these elements to balance inclusion with fairness. Rushing into decisions and implementing policies without thorough review can have long-term consequences for students and schools alike. As a school board member, I would approach this issue with empathy, research, and commitment to listening to students, parents, coaches, and legal and medical professionals. These are not decisions that need to be driven by politics or fear, but by responsibility to ensure that every student has a chance to learn, grow, and belong. I know that inclusion is meaningful for students. I enjoyed celebrating Caden's opportunity to play with Cedar Cliff High School football team. And I'd like for all students to feel that support from the West Shore School District community. Thanks for reaching out. And I responded to her. I said, my issue is, when does my child's safety, security, and well-being get protected? Caden is completely different. His medical conditions, his heart and lungs, don't allow him to play. It took over 3 months to get things approved with his doctors for him to be allowed to do one play. What seemed so simple, so many safeguards were in place because one hit could literally alter his life and ours forever. She has not responded.
Well, in regards to what she said to you, bullshit. Excuse me. Sorry, I had a little cough there. Little phlegm. So yeah, that's some shenanigans of the highest caliber. Yes, Terry does. And that was, I don't even know what she said. Can anybody, if there's anybody listening right now, can anybody tell me what she said? Because I have no idea what she just said in that statement. That was such a essay for whatever you were asking.
I've
I
never
don't
met
even
this
remember.
woman, and she knows both of my kids. So
I'm trying to
Again,
remember
that's
what.
manipulation. She was
Yeah.
using Brandi's children as a tool because nothing is off limits with them. And she was trying to leverage her relationship with Brandi's children to effectuate the cause and effect, and manipulate Brandi into some type of submission. And then also, I met a woman years ago at the poll, and I wasn't working the poll. I was just going to vote. This was years ago. And I asked her what her stance was on abortion. And she looked at me and she was trying to read me. And she started to hem haw, well, I've been thinking a lot about this lately. And I've really looked at this. And as she's dragging out, she's trying. And I was blank. I wasn't going to let her know one way or the other if I was, because whichever way I said I was, she was going to be the chameleon that adapted to that. And I never forgot that, because then I let her go on for maybe another minute. And I said, that tells me everything I need to know about you. Because when you're pro-life and you're really pro-life, it flies out of your mouth. Well, I'm for saving the life of every unborn, that kind of thing. She is trying to make it sound like she is for fairness, and no, because the girls in the locker room that are forced to change in front of a boy that has other body parts than them, their rights are not being considered at all. They are made to feel like bigots if they don't joyfully change in front of a boy.
Yep.
So I don't want to hear about fairness and about all of that nonsense.
like I said, where's my daughter's rights? Where's her sense of security and safety and well-being?
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not only that, but even Caden's.
Yeah.
If they want to do these gender neutral bathrooms, and it goes both ways. If my child, who isn't, he's a senior this year, not on a 12th grade level, not almost 18-year-old level. And what if he makes a comment and upsets them?
Yeah. Or even worse than that. That's
right.
where it really, especially when you're dealing with children with special needs or extra needs, however you want to word it. I've looked, you know what? Let me just say, from someone who's in a wheelchair, okay? I'm on social media, obviously, the podcasting and everything. There's a serious, what do you call people in wheelchairs? Are they physically disabled? Are they special needs? Oh, they're not special needs. They're extra needs. They're regular needs. It's starting to get into the handicap too, where words are starting to change meaning, and this word now is an insult. You shouldn't use this word, and you have to use this word. Okay. All right. So just from someone, I'm in a wheelchair. Okay. So let me just say this, from someone who is in a wheelchair, I don't give a damn what word you use to describe me, as long as you call me a conservative Christian American man. Those are the only 4 words I've ever cared about. I don't care what you call me. You can call me special needs. You can call me extra needs. You can call me idiot needs. It doesn't really matter to me. Doesn't matter. Okay. None of those are just words. They're just labels. I have what I need. I need extra help doing certain things. That's it. Doesn't need to be drawn out or brought out. It's too much of that. So
the nomenclature doesn't matter, because they keep changing the meaning of words.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's too much.
They change. Yeah, it doesn't even matter.
It's just, and I say this to other people in the wheelchair community too. Don't get hung up on what words mean, and don't get hung up because the one person doesn't like this word or that word. It's nonsense. Okay.
I mean, you can't please everyone to begin with. So
yeah, I've had people call me every name. They've called me crippled. They've called me physically disabled. They've called me handicapped. I mean, like I have heard literally every word, and you know what? I don't care about any of them. That's it. And usually when I say when people don't know who I am, usually the first thing I go to is the guy in the wheelchair, because that's usually the first thing that people remember. Right or wrong, that's not the point. That's irrelevant. Of course, people are going to see me in a wheelchair, because guess what? I'm in a wheelchair. Mm-hmm. So, and that's usually what sticks out in people's minds. So why would I'm the guy with the black hair and the beard and I wore the white t-shirt. Why would I do that? Why wouldn't I just go right to what people remember?
Right.
So it's just, it's nonsense. All that word stuff is just nonsense. That's all it is. So don't get caught up in the nonsense, especially word nonsense. Okay. Yes, words have meanings and it's important to stand up for what they mean, but don't get drug into this, to the nonsense with words either, please.
And it's funny. I told Sandra before we started, she was talking about our daughter and how well spoken she is and whatnot. And I really wanted to respond with, yeah, she doesn't do character strong.
Yeah. And they don't know. They don't know what to do with children who know what they are and who they are.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Holy cow.
They don't know what to do when they cannot manipulate, when they cannot intimidate, when they cannot, indoctrinate. They don't know what to do with those students.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because you're absolutely right. Because they don't know what to do. They don't know how to, kids who already know who they are and what they're about they're scary to them. They don't know what to do with them. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up getting their own special class for reindoctrination.
Yes.
My daughter said to me, this is not the first time she said it to me, that there's a girl in her class who burps in her face all the time. And she's told the teachers about it. And I told her what to do. I said, you could burp back in her face. Sometimes kids don't get it until it's done to them that it's like rude.
Yeah. You're absolutely
and I'm
right.
like, you're not going to get in trouble here. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. Just be prepared to face the consequences at the school because you likely will have those. But yeah, I would say the same exact thing.
Response was, well, I'll just burp in so-and-so's face. No.
Yeah.
Like, I get it, kids will be kids, but coming from another girl, like that was just.
Yeah.
It's the attention getter.
Mm-hmm.
It's the attention getter. And the teacher should stop it. They can't teach our kids to read. They can't teach our kids to write. They can't teach our kids to do math. But they can teach dysfunction. They can foster and nurture dysfunction, but they cannot nurture healthy educational habits. There's a school in Mississippi, a school district in Mississippi, that's called the Mississippi Miracle. They changed 100% their educational tactics, and they developed a policy that no child will be passed along to the next grade until they could read at grade level. If you're going to do second grade 4 years in a row, it is what it is. And they turned their school district around.
That's exactly this. Everybody passes. I don't know when that got adopted, but it's ridiculous.
No child left behind.
Yeah, no child left behind. Give me a break. Yeah. It would be uncomfortable for a kid to be going to school with kids who's a year younger than him. I get that. Don't fail.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to worry about it.
It engages the parents. If you're a parent of a child that's going through second, third, fourth grade for the third year in a row, maybe it wakes you up a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, or if nothing else, maybe, it's just, and, sometimes it's not always the kids, sometimes it is the parents to blame. They're not giving them the right support or whatever, too. So that's hilarious, Mariana. I love that you identified as a Puerto Rican. I would also want to say, Mariana, I don't know if you were watching when we gave you a shout out before, but between the 40 and 45 minute mark, I gave some shout outs to everybody. So go back and watch that part if you weren't watching before. Christy agrees. Can't fail forward. Yeah, that's what it should be. Yeah, that's what it should be, but that's not what it is. Okay, so we covered, I think, everything that we wanted to, right?
Yeah, we did.
And your yard signs. You're getting yard signs stolen. Sandra's getting yard signs stolen. So if you see her signs getting stolen, that's a crime. Okay, that's a crime. If someone's stealing yard signs, political yard signs is a crime. So if you see that, then please call somebody and report it. You're not going to get in trouble for calling to report report it because it is illegal. It is against the law. So you're allowed to call the cops and report it if you see it.
That's
So
right.
please do so. All right. That's the part of their tactics. I got yard signs all up and down my neighborhood of liberals every election. And you know what? I was to walk by them. Yeah, I have the urge to rip them out of the ground and throw them across into the middle of the road to get ran over. I have other urges with those signs as well, but I still avoid them. That's called being an adult.
Yes. There was a guy last year that electrified his Trump sign because he got tired of people stealing it. And he ran a hot and a negative wire underground to the sign, and he had a camera on it. And they caught several people coming up and trying to pull it.
The only reason I haven't gotten myself a Boiling Point podcast sign to put out in my yard yet is because I need to get a camera first to make sure that the camera covers the yard sign, because I have this. When I thought about getting a yard sign, it took me 2 seconds. When I was like, oh, a yard sign. I'm getting a Boiling Point podcast yard sign.
Yeah.
Right after I get a camera, because that sign's going to get stolen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why I haven't gotten myself a yard sign yet, because I'm concerned that it'll likely get stolen. We're starting to get a reputation here in the local area. So I don't want, no one's come up to me yet and said, hey, you're JD from the Boiling Point podcast. No, that hasn't happened yet, but I'm waiting for it to happen. And until I know their intentions, I will have my wall up and guard ready.
Man, friend or
Because you never know. You never know.
Right.
But all right, that's where we're
going. I wear a
going
Trump
to
shirt every day. I wear a Trump shirt almost every day since before the last primary, so over a year. And I haven't had anyone be unkind to me. I've had a few people roll their eyes and look away. I have never had anyone, and I have his logo on my rear windshield.
That's good.
Since before the primary, and I'd never had anyone. I've had a couple of people roll their eyes, or I get honks all the time, and you don't know, like in that moment, and then you turn and someone's doing a thumbs up.
Yeah.
But listen, we need to be proud of who we are and what we are.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why when I go out, I'm almost always podcast gear. I have lots of t-shirts, but I only wear my podcast ones when I'm out anymore. So, you got to represent the brand.
You got to.
Yourself. So please, again, visit the storefront, bonfire.com/store/the Boiling Point podcast. Pick yourself up some apparel, yard signs. We have travel mugs. We have so much stuff. So go pick up something. I'm sure you can find something you like. Check us out. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Rumble is the only place that you can find all of our episodes in their entirety. I know we've been going live and doing a lot of posting on Facebook and on YouTube, but all it takes is for them to start giving us strikes or whatever, and then that's it. Rumble will not do that. So if you're not subscribed to our Rumble channel, go to our Rumble channel, rumble.com. That's it. Sign up for Rumble. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost you any more than signing up for YouTube does. So sign up for Rumble and go follow us on our Rumble channel. You can also view our episodes on the Rumble channel without subscribing. You don't have to subscribe to see our content. So you don't have to sign up for Rumble to view our content. But that's where all of our episodes are, even the live ones. Make sure that's where you go to see them.
Upload it from my phone.
And we appreciate it very much. Hit that share button, hit that like button. And until next time, for which will be Thursday, by the way, that's when you'll see some of us again for the school board meeting on Thursday. For Brandi and Sandra Gonzalez running for school board. Don't forget that either. What region or district are you in?
I'm in Region 3, which is kind of Newberry Township, a little bit of Fairview, Lewis, Berry Borough, and Goldsboro.
Okay, so check that area, or if you live in that area, if that's your district, then Sandra Gonzalez. Make Sandra Gonzalez your vote for this year's school board meetings in November. We want to get her on the West Shore School District. She is a presence that is definitely would be influential and helpful to the process and everything in the West Shore School District. So vote for Sandra Gonzalez. And I can, even though I haven't officially had the conversation with her yet, she has reached out to me and responded to my text. So I will say you may also vote for Kelly Brent. She's on the verge of getting our official endorsement, the Boiling Point podcast endorsement as well. Are you two districts the only ones running this year, or are there other ones?
There's in all three regions. So
who else is running?
Well, there's two from Mariana's region in Region 1, and that is Chris Cambick and I don't know who the lady that is running for Abby Tyranny is not running for reelection. So there is someone running for her seat, but those two are running unopposed. Unless we could talk someone that you all know into a write-in campaign in the general election, we would listen. If we pulled all our resources together and went out and knocked doors like a bunch of mad people, like a bunch of crazies, we just could get a write-in candidate in the New Cumberland area on the ballot and win and pull that person across the finish line. Could you imagine having a crazy Puerto Rican on the school board?
I was just about to say, I would think she identifies, if I'm not mistaken, I believe she identifies as a Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
What a coincidence. I identified as being married to a Puerto Rican.
Well, there you go. See,
match made in heaven.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying right there. So there you go. If you want to do a write-in campaign to get Mariana in on office.
Wouldn't that be special?
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? Of course, she did run the last time.
I know she did.
She didn't make it, but she did do very well. She didn't get no votes.
She's got more name recognition now, and she has more friends, and she has more support.
Yes, she does.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Look at Kristen.
She's the boiling. Yeah, she's the Boiling Point. She's a member of the Boiling Point podcast team now, and I'd be willing. I think with you, Sandra, we, at least while you were running, we made it so that you weren't part of the team while you were running, just to make sure there were no conflicts or anything like that. Yes. Mariana likes conflict, so I'm thinking even if she joins the school board, she's staying on the Boiling Point podcast.
And I may do that after the primary here, JD. After the primary, if I'm able to win on the Republican side, I will still have to face him in the general. I did not cross-foul. My opponent cross-fouled.
Yeah. So, well, we'll talk more about that when you and I have another episode.
I'll have to face him anyways, but getting the primary behind me, I just might do a podcast or two. Wouldn't that be special?
Yeah, that'd be great to have some podcasters actually in public office too on the team.
Yes.
Mariana, I just want to say, and I think I'm speaking for everybody when I say this. We know damn well you speak English. So we're not buying that. We're not buying that shit at all. We're not buying it. We know damn well you speak English. So that's just the way to go.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that later. We'll keep trying to hype that as well. So there's 3 elections then? It's you.
There's
Abigail Tierney.
There are 4 seats. Kelly is running for re-election.
Oh, I forgot. She's running for re-election too.
And then Chris Cambitt and Abby's not running again. I forget. Mariana may remember the person's name that's running.
What is it? Carrick? Is that his name?
Cambick.
Sorry.
Chris Cambick.
Chris Cambick.
I think his real name is Frank. I don't get that.
Is he a conservative or a liberal?
He says he's a Republican, but he votes liberal.
He's one of the people that we're not sure about. Well, Chris,
he will not vote for the sports policy. I don't think.
Well, come on the Boiling Point podcast if you'd like some help, maybe getting reelected, but be prepared to stand under the cross.
Yeah. Well, he's running as a team with Brian and Terry Mickle, so that tells you where he stands. They have pulled their resources together, and they are running together.
Yeah, well, then you can still come on the episode. Be prepared to stand under the cross.
Yeah, amen.
Chris Cambick. So, and no, they're running unopposed. Is that right? The other 2, Abigail Tierney, or whoever's running for Abigail Tierney's seat, is running unopposed, and whoever is running for Chris Cambick's seat,
I believe so.
Unopposed.
I believe,
which is terrible.
Unless there's a write-in in the general.
Hey, I'm just saying, New Cumberland residents. If I lived in New Cumberland, I would run. I could be persuaded to run for office. So just saying that, just throwing that out there. If there's any rich people or anything that out there who maybe want to buy me a house in New Cumberland, I would be happy to run for office if I had a residence there.
Yeah.
But all right, we're going to be done now. Thank you for all the comments and thank you for turning in. And please share them all out. Please share the episodes out to any pages or to people. Get people looking at this. For the final time, for Sandra Gonzalez and Brandi, I am your host, JD, and that's the end.